So Seconds Out, delighted to be joined by boxing trainer, manager, mentor,
the one, the
podcast co-host, Tunde
Dream
Ajayi.
it, believe it, become it. No, wait, but you don't just say, but you're supposed to say, dream it, believe it, become it, and then Tunde Ajayi.
Oh, I apologise.
How you doing, my man?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Fine, sir. You know, same program, same positive vibes, and the train keeps moving.
How is the train moving, though, at the moment with the restrictions in place from the lockdown? What are you able to do, both yourself in terms of training and with Anthony?
Well, I mean, Andy's a separate issue, but I mean, you know, these boys are professional athletes, and it's one of the reasons why I've always said that you don't train, you don't wait for a date, you train and get ready to hear the date. Regardless of what's happening on the outside, you're always in control of yourself. So, you know, you have to maintain a certain level of fitness. And even though we've had this period of inactivity as opposed to, you know, face to face and that kind of interaction, I expect all the fighters to be physically ready at least 70%. You know, so when we do get the call, back in the gym, 4 to 6 weeks, bam, ready to go. So, if anyone looks at my stories, you see I'm out every morning, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. No, well, 5. If I'm running after 5 a.m., I count that as a no-go. So 3, 4 a.m., I'm up running, and I know the boys are doing the same. Where Anthony's concerned, obviously we know what happened with Anthony's family and everything like that, but I love the way that he's bounced back, which is what I expected him to do, because he's very, very mentally strong, but none of us really knows how he would react or how he was going to take the loss of his father and his grandmother. But I was so happy to see him last Saturday. He came to see me, and forget about social distancing, I gave him the biggest hug in the world. You know, it was happy. I was so happy to see him. Been speaking to him every day, but to see him and to see the smile on his face was a big thing for me. And yeah, he's back. I think anyone looking at his Insta stories and his posts, he's training. He's in shape. He's in shape.
You must be incredibly proud of him. I mean, losing one family member unexpectedly to something like this would be hard enough. Losing two is almost unthinkable in a short space of time. And not only is he kind of absorbed that suffering, but he's also channeled it and used it as a platform to warn other people of the dangers of COVID-19. You must be incredibly proud.
Oh, you know, I said it from the very beginning of his career, because I saw attributes in Anthony right from the start that were just it's not something you see every day. You know, a young man showing mental maturity, and but as you said, to come back the way he has from the loss of his father and his grandmother, and also before that, you know, he lost another grandmother. So all of those three things happening in the space of 6 weeks. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him. And I know, you know, they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And Anthony was a force to behold before this. So I know that this is only going to make him a more focused athlete. You know, it's a shame that someone has to die that's close to you before you become focused. And I would say in Anthony's case, that wasn't the case. He didn't. This didn't happen. This didn't have to happen for him to become focused. But he's took it on board. You know, he's dealt with it. He's moving forward, and you know, I'm very, very proud. Words really can't explain. I mean, I can go on all day, but it's great for me, because you know the journey. You know how this started with me and Anthony, and to do what we've done in the space of time that we've done it. I mean, getting over Russia was one thing, you know. But this is something else. I literally don't know. Who feels it knows it. Who feels it knows it. And Anthony's felt it, and he's bounced back in a tremendous, applaudable way. And I'm very, very proud of him.
Now, before the lockdown restrictions came into place and these tragedies occurred, a fight was lined up between Anthony and Lyndon Arthur, of course, for the Joe Joyce show, which is now being rescheduled, at least the main event, for maybe September, October. We haven't got a date yet. I think Frank Warren's talking to the O2.
But yes.
What are you hearing in terms of Anthony against Arthur? Will that still go ahead? And if it does, will it be on that show?
Well, Frank is a man. I think one of the reasons why myself and Anthony have been able to move smoothly through our careers is because we don't really second guess Frank. Frank's the man. Frank would just phone me and just say, look, Tun, this is what's here. This is what's on the table. You ready to go? And in our careers, we've never backed down from a challenge. Lyndon Arthur, I was kind of shocked when they asked for the fight because Lyndon ain't at this level. There ain't no that. He ain't ready for this, But I was like, all right, cool, say nothing. If that's what you want, pay us the right fee and the fight will be made. So, Frank had to put a few ice cubes on his head when I told him what we want. Frank tried it 3 times. Frank told me, he's like, Covington. I was like, no, sir. This is what I want. This is what we want. And Frank is like, listen, Tun, it's only because it's you. But yeah, I mean, fun and jokes aside, Frank, gave us the option to fight, and we fought. Obviously, with the lockdown stuff and the behind closed doors, that was never attractive to me, because fighting behind closed doors can benefit a fighter who's not used to performing in front of the lights on a big stage. And so what you have in effect is a sparring match, and how it is in the gym. Some days you're just not up for it because there is nothing to get up for. There's no lights, there's no audience, there's no cameras.
And Anthony, of course, doesn't spar.
And Anthony don't spar. That's another thing. You get what I'm saying?
That's a major handicap.
So that's a major handicap. So it's like that is not good. But yeah, Frank will, the thing is, people don't understand how me and Frank's relationship. Frank will probably tell the media about what's going on before he tells me. You understand? That's the kind of relationship we got. But, I spoke to Frank last week and he said that, we've got a few things planned and he'll let me know in due course. But we all have to take into consideration that this isn't really a situation where the promoter phones me and says, yeah, Tun, let's go. We have to take the main person in this, and that's Anthony Yarde. And he has to be mentally ready first before we accept any challenge now, because it's not like it was in April, and certainly even like it was due to be in July. Losing family members, close family members, is a big thing. And I'm not going to be the one to pick up the phone to Ant and say, yeah, let's go training. I'm not doing it. You understand? Because I've never had to do that in Anthony's whole career. Anthony Yarde is not an athlete or a person that you say, come on, let's go. He's a person that says, Unks, I hope you're ready, because I'm ready to kickstart the, So when Anthony says that, he hasn't said that to me. And we haven't even spoke about boxing. That's the honest truth, Dan. We haven't even spoke about boxing because it's not my place. Boxing is a very serious sport. It's not a kamikaze job. It is for some, but it's not for us. And when Anthony says it's time to go, it's time to go. And if that lines up with a September date at the O2, then it is where it is. We're ready. We ain't done. Listen, man, we just fought probably arguably the best light heavyweight of the last 5-10 years. So, we're not afraid to fight anybody. But it's all about preparation. It's all about being right physically and mentally. And if Anthony Wright is not 100%, you won't see him in the ring. It's as simple as that.
Now, we recently saw a tragic event take place in Minneapolis, in America, as a black man, George Floyd, was killed by a white police officer.
Yes.
In, I think, Derek Chauvin, I think his name. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Okay.
And that has led to a number of protests, both in the US and across the across the world. but specifically seems to have resonated here in the UK.
Yes.
And we've interviewed people about it. We've spoken to a lot of people about it. One of the things that made me consider was the presence or otherwise of discrimination within boxing. Something I put on my Twitter feed recently was that who's the most high-profile, powerful, influential black person in UK boxing?
Yes.
And people seemed bereft of ideas. You got a few shouts, I have to say.
Come on.
Spencer Fears, David Hay. So your podcast will do well because you both.
Yes.
But I think people started to see that there doesn't seem to be a kind of big presence of not BAME generally, but black specifically, people in high influential positions in UK boxing, especially compared to America, where there are trailblazers like Al Heyman, Don King, and so on. And I just wanted to get an idea from you, partly of why you think that might be, but also your experiences and how you got to your position where you are, despite the environment.
Dream it, believe it, become it. It's as simple as that, man. You know, many people don't believe that they're qualified to take up certain positions. And I would say from my own experience, I came into this sport, and I spoke about it yesterday live on Facebook. I said that when I came into the sport as a trainer, I went to a gym in Brixton, and the trainers at the time told me that what happens is you train the black fighters, and then the white trainers take over when they get good. And that was very, very negative. And being who I am and where I've come from and how my dad raised me was, you don't let color get involved in your destiny. And so that was a shock to me to hear another black person saying that, you know, you get to a certain position, you take a fighter to a certain level, and then a white fighter. And I was like, straight away. And I'll be honest with you, Dan, to this day, that's what's driven me. That one comment that a black person, and if you look at it, who else is there? Who else is there? You got to see how this thing works. Don Charles took Derek Chisora to the top of the mountain on his own. And who was in the corner? Yours truly, Tunde Ajayi. But what I did now is I proved to myself that I could do the same thing. And I've done it. And I didn't have no resistance. And this is why I love the sport of boxing. I didn't have any resistance. You can apply for a trainer's license. I did that. I got it. You can apply for a manager's license. I did that. Eventually, I got it. I took someone with my hard work, my dedication, and his hard work and dedication to the very top level of the sport of boxing. And I'm a black man. And I've done that in the UK. So regardless of what everyone is saying and thinking on the outside, Tunde Ajayi has never allowed any form of negativity to get in his vibration, in his frequency. And I tell people every day, be what you want to see, you know, and, so you have the trainer, the manager, the promoters, all of those things are available for everybody to do. Now, the way I look at it is this: if a number of black fighters or trainers or managers who were equipped to do the job kept applying and then they kept getting rejected, then that's an issue. But that's not my reality. I applied for something and I got it. First time. Mick Collier is a great friend of mine, and he's always pushing me, do it, do it, do it. So I think that boxing is very unique. David A has been a promoter. And that's who I really know, really. David Hay, as a black guy. Do you know any more?
Pat Barrett.
Pat Barrett Pat Barrett on a small scale. So, you know, if there's a problem, as I always say, attack it. Don't fall victim to not believing in yourself. And, you know, I was the one who encouraged Haruna Headley to get his manager's license. because I really feel that if we're qualified, then why are we not applying for these positions? You know, and then it's not like football. You look in the Premiership, not one black manager in England. You look in the Italian Football League, not one black manager. You look in the Spanish Football League, not one black manager. You look in the German Football League, not one black manager. There's a problem. There's an issue, because you can't be telling me that people are not qualified to deal with those positions. So I love the sport of boxing. I haven't personally faced, I would say, what's the word? You have covert and you have, what's the other one? What's the opposite of covert?
Overt.
Overt. So I haven't had people come up to me and tell me black this, maybe because they look at me because I'm one of them Kunta Kinte brothers. Like you come up and you're that nonsense to me, I'm gonna attack you. Covertly, I would have to say yes, because I've been in situations where I know I'm saying, hold on, why is this not happening for me? But again, Dan, my reality is I don't focus on it. I just don't focus on it. And I feel that's what sets me apart from any others, because I've got a lot of white friends, influential friends in the sport of boxing. You know, Frank Warren is not a black man. He's a white man. But he's done things for me and my son. So how can I judge him for that? I can't. It's like this is one, going back to the George Floyd, these are 4 white policemen. And the Americans' experience is not my experience, but what happens for one, it happens to other. It affects us all. What I'm happy about now is that people of other races are joining in this march to stop racism. And that's a great thing. And I don't think, I've never seen that in my lifetime, where now you have white people recognizing there's a problem, Asian people recognizing there's a problem, Chinese recognizing and standing and saying something has to be done. This has to be stopped. But where boxing is concerned, it's a great thing. Because if another man's racist against you, you can punch him in his mouth. And not get arrested.
Well, yeah.
And not get arrested. So we deal with it that way. But very, very, you know, what has happened in the world is not a joking matter. It's a very, and I'm happy that people of all denominations are realizing that, look, something has to be done. This can't continue. And the young people are getting involved in the act, and it's a great thing. It's a great thing. I think this one killing has changed the mindset and the perception of everybody, and something has to be done and is being done.
Just to pick up on something you said you
Yes.
don't know if there's a number of people from a minority background who maybe look at certain positions and don't feel it's achievable or a realistic goal.
Yes.
Do you then feel a sense of responsibility as one of the few that has made it to where you have,
Yes.
as a role model, so they can look up and say, well, he's done it, there's no reason why we should let anything bar us from doing it?
Absolutely, Dan. And that's why I talk about myself so much.
I always just thought you had a big ego. No,
That's why I talk about myself. And it's not, you know, look, it's not even egotistical. I come from a certain environment, which is common to a lot of people, black, white, and otherwise. But what I'm trying to say, sometimes it goes beyond the black issue and it comes down to environmental issue. People from our environment who look like me don't believe we can do it. And so the best way for me to combat that was not to shout about it, not to go on the streets talking about it and not doing nothing. It's to actually get in those positions. Even as a black person, our life was under threat going to Russia. It was. Let's think about it. Let's think about it. Not only that, we went to the worst part of Russia.
Yeah.
But my mindset prior to going to Russia is that no, these are human beings and that they're good people And I remember being on the train with Anthony and Ade and them saying, nah, Unks, we got to get security. Listen, man, this is a dangerous part of Russia we're going to. And I said, forget all that. Forget all that. Put that out of your mind, you know? And Ade and Anthony have to agree with me. You know, these people showed us a lot of love because our perception of it was not what the common perception was. So, yes, you wouldn't hear me say, nobody's ever heard me say, yeah, black, I'm doing it because I'm black. No. The obvious, look at my skin, I'm black. You know what I'm saying? I am black. And I feel that the best way to represent my community and what I stand for is to do the work. It's easy to talk. It's easy to get out there and protest. But let's get ourselves into positions where we can actually make proper change and affect others. See, it was in my own community that I was told that I could never be more than the guy that builds up a black fighter and then he leaves you. And although that has happened in many situations, although there's a current fighter right now and fighters that signed contracts with me and then sold me out for money. Right now, let's talk about that. Let's not talk about that, but let's highlight that. Who looked like me. I still didn't allow that to deter me. I still kept a positive mindset and a positive mental frame to say that, you know what? It ain't even because of the color issue, although it could be. It's because that this particular fighter or fighters decided to not be low. You understand? And decided to take the check and forsake the glory of getting to the top of the mountain, and people who look like me can see that. You know how many people message me daily and say you're inspiration? Not just black people, not just white people, a vast array of individuals, because I'm not talking about it, I'm doing it. You see what I'm saying? And I feel that that's the best way. I mean, I just done a post on Instagram. I said, to say you believe in someone or something and not live it is dishonest. So we can talk the talk, but are we walking the walk? And I feel that what I've done as an individual trainer, as a black trainer in this country, and what I've achieved as a trainer, as an individual, should show those where I come from, who look like me, that Tunde done it, we can do it. And I feel that that's the best way to combat this thing.
Another person who's a great example of doing that is Anthony Joshua, of course. Unified heavyweight champion from a modest background in Watford.
Yes.
And has just achieved superstardom, not just boxing success, but widespread endorsements and promotional marketing success. It's been amazing.
Yes.
Now, until recently, that was kind of the modus operandi, kind of influencing by doing, as you were talking about. And yes. We saw at the weekend he appeared at a Black Lives Matter protest in Watford and gave a speech that was being passed around by someone who wasn't able to make it, and then added some of his own personal views afterwards. And I just wanted to get your take on the fact that while you're more keen on doing than saying, is his status at the top of the heavyweight division one of the most famous sportsmen in the UK? Does that lend itself to having value in him speaking as well, being a figurehead, the optics of it and all that kind of thing?
Absolutely, because it's support. You know, you want the support of your environment and of your background. You know, Anthony Joshua is not racist. And anyone who thinks that needs a good punching. You understand? Because you look at his team, it's very diverse, but he comes from an environment. I mean, when we see people that look like Amir Khan all around him, no one ain't saying nothing. You see what I'm saying? So I feel that Anthony Joshua really, I mean, if you look in his corner on Fight Night, who do we see? You know, is the proportion of blacks and whites equal? I don't think it is. Because in Anthony's mind, it's not really about that. It's about who can do the job and who's the best team for him at that moment. But one thing Anthony Joshua would never be able to do is change the color of his skin. So I think he may have felt. I mean, I don't know the young man's thinking, but you know, he's acting and being that leader, that role model. And yes, some people may have taken a few segments of the speech and spun it, but we all know Anthony is a great young human being. We all know he's not racist in one iota. Could he have been? I mean, he never had his PR team with him. You understand? Maybe someone would have read the speech and said, "Don't say that. Don't say that." But he spoke from the heart, and I think that's a lot more admirable than reading from the speech, because you can, from what I understand, he was reading it. I haven't even actually seen it, but my friend was telling me he was reading it and then saying, "Yeah, I agree with that as well." So you can tell it wasn't his speech. It was that he was standing up as the flag bearer. And listen, who is without sin? And this should be the clickbait. Who is it? Who is without sin? Cast the first stone. Ain't none of us that are perfect. You know, Anthony Joshua is a great ambassador for boxing. Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, in 2012, got the average fan, the people that don't really watch boxing, back watching boxing. So I ain't gonna allow no one to now shoot down this young man because he made an error, or he might not see it as an error in his mind, but because he made a statement that a few section of the public don't agree with. I mean, I was very, very shocked to look at my Facebook, and within minutes, people were saying, "That's the end of me and Anthony Joshua. Yeah. I totally disrespect him." What that shows me is that they always had this in their heart. They was waiting for this young man to make an error, which evidently has to happen. Frank Warren said things that, you know, that have rubbed the people up the wrong way. Eddie Hearn has said things. You know, why is there this big thing about Anthony Joshua? Why is it a talking point? If you listen to the speech, he made some valuable points and good areas. And a lot of people, I think Anthony Joshua's support amongst the black community will actually grow from what he said. Because as I say, when you look in his corner, you don't really see a representation of people who look like him. But what he did was show that he's a people's man, you know, just like Muhammad Ali was a people's man. Muhammad Ali said a lot of things which infuriated people of other races, of other religions, but he is still known and adored and revered as one of the greatest to ever do it. So big up Anthony Joshua. He may have made a mistake, but we love him all the same.
Talking of Joshua and bringing the discussion back to boxing, which I'm sure you'll be thankful for. We've done a kind of political due diligence now.
Yes.
What did you make of the news, if we can call it that broke yesterday, that we're at the very least a step closer to an undisputed world heavyweight title fight between Tyson Fury?
Yes. Well, firstly, big up the man they call Dan Kinahan. The man is Dan Kinahan is the can man. He is the man. I don't care what anyone says. Bob Arum said the fight can't take place without Dan Kinahan. And I don't know about Daniel's past and history. I'm not a historian. I'm a now-storian. Historian is Spencer Fury. Spencer's the historian. I'm the now-storian. I deal with now. And what I've seen Dan Kinahan do for boxing and for boxers over the last few years, you can't hate that. You have to respect it. He's putting deals together which otherwise we may not have seen, you know, because there would always be that promotional war and what have you. But what Dan Kinahan has single-handedly done is got both parties to agree, whether it's verbally or otherwise, that we get the fight. that I think the whole of boxing wants to see. But Tyson Fury has got a bump in the road called Deontay Wilder, which, bro, you know Deontay Wilder is coming to deal with things. So fingers crossed, you know, TF, the big man Tyson Fury, can take care of business with Deontay Wilder. And then we get the super fight that Britain has been awaiting for some time.
And obviously the key question, I'm sure you knew this was coming, so I hope you've got your answer ready. Who comes out on top in that fight, should it come together in 2021?
I'm going for Anthony Joshua. Straight. No long thing. Is it because he's a black man? Maybe. If you
want to see the comments now.
If you want to, yeah, if you understand, if you want to throw that in there. But I'm just a boxing man. And as I said, I've never allowed colour to be an issue. I was asked by a reporter, who do you think is the number one heavyweight right now? And I said it, Tyson Fury. Yeah. I said it. Like it ain't nothing to do with colour. Like, you know, I'm an AJ fan. I'm an AJ supporter. Styles make fights. The will of a man could often determine the fight. And I think what we've seen with Tyson Fury is he's come back from so much adversity and come out on top. What makes him the number one is that he took the most feared heavyweight puncher in the division's O. And he done it in brutal fashion. So that's what makes Tyson Fury the number one heavyweight presently. But Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, has the tools to deal with Tyson Fury. But it will boil down to the preparation of the fight, the mindset of both individuals. Remember, fighting is something people don't realize, and I've said it, and I guess a lot of people have said it. Boxing is 99.9% mental, in my opinion. And I feel that what Anthony Joshua done by reclaiming the heavyweight title, and you got to remember the manner in which he lost and the manner in which he took the loss spoke volumes to me. You know, he wasn't, the suit was too heavy. My foot was hurting. My foot was hurting me. I had a bad toe. It wasn't none of that rubbish. He said, it was your night and, you know, enjoy the victory because I'm coming again. And he did it. He came again and he done something that only a few heavyweights have done in the history of the sport. And he reclaimed the heavyweight title. So that shows me all I need to know about Anthony Joshua's mindset and the fact that he's set his goals so high, you know, and everything that he's ever said he wants to do thus far in boxing, he's done it. Won the Olympic gold medal, having little amateur experience, really, becoming a heavyweight champion, dethroning Vladimir Klitschko after he ruled for many years, losing the heavyweight title and then regaining the heavyweight title. I think all those things stack up very high for Anthony Joshua. On the flip side of that, Tyson Fury has come through mental health, mental depression, and very quickly, within 2 fights, you know, he's already been a champion. He already had all the belts before, you know, and he's come back from that. So in that respect, it's a 50-50 fight. But I just think, from what I understand years ago, although, you know me, I don't take nothing about sparring, Anthony Joshua done a number on Tyson Fury in sparring, and Tyson Fury said, yeah, this kid's going to be champion. So Anthony's taken that into the fight mentally, you know, and I think that all of these attributes weigh heavily in Anthony Joshua's favor. I know people's chatting about, yeah, you know, Tyson Fury is a great boxer and everything, but there's times when Tyson Fury didn't look good. He didn't look good against John Donut McDermott.
That was a long time ago, to be fair, but yeah.
It don't matter. It don't matter. These things stay in people's heads. Because if it happens once, it can happen twice. Apparently, Deontay Wilder didn't do well in that camp of sparring Klitschko when I think Dylan White was there, Tyson Fury was there. So again, you know, Tyson Fury is like, this little skinny leg guy can't beat me. You understand? So he went things that happened previously stay in people's minds, and I think maybe, you know, that's why I've never agreed with sparring your potential foe, or even sparring with someone who spars with your potential foe.
Yeah.
Because it's mental. It's all mental. And I like the fight. It's, as they say, a sexy fight. So let's pray Tyson Fury does a number again on Deontay Wilder, wherever it may be. And the super fight happens. I don't think it will happen here in the UK just because of financial reasons. But my pick is Anthony Joshua by KO.
Brilliant. And before we let you go, just let people out there know about your podcast if they're not already aware of it. How they can.
Hold on. Anthony Joshua KO round 9.
Right.
You see the 9.
Got it on record.
You see the 9. System 9. You see the 9. Stamina for sale all day, every day. But anyway,
talking of self-promotion.
Yeah, you know, listen, one must promote himself. And I've never understood why they say self-praise is no recommendation. Well, who do you want to praise you? Who are you waiting for to praise you? Self-praise is all the recommendation I need. Because if I believe in myself, I can move mountains.
So tell people about the podcast. I know it's getting a lot of traction. Just tell people when it's on, how they can watch it, how they can listen to it, and what you cover.
Well, myself and Spencer, we haven't fell victim to this Skype or this Zoom production because we just want to do it properly. So we've stayed away. You know, we want to keep it the same quality, the same jazz, the same pizzazz. When me and Spencer get in a room, you know it's going to be fireworks. So the Fight is Right podcast is available on Stamina for Sale YouTube channel. And we've had some fantastic guests. The views are very high for people who just came into this game. Well, I just came into the game. Obviously, Spencer is a legend. Made toe-to-toe Sky podcast, toe-to-toe, the #1 podcast in the world. And that's what's going to happen now. And what better way to silence the haters? This is what I'm trying to say about letting your community see that you can do it. You know, too young. Well, we're not that young no more. But we're too middle. We're not that young no more. But, you know, two guys that represent a community that have done it on their own platform. And we've had some great guests who, may I just add, have not only been black. Josh Taylor ain't black. Tony Bellew, I think, is mixed race. Joe Gallagher ain't black.
Even I've had like half an invitation.
Yeah, you're coming on there. You're coming. I told you. But we're going to do something special for you, Dan. You get what I'm saying? So great guests. Jay Prince, John Barnes, Andy Cole. Amazing guests, you know, for us. And Spencer Fearon's Black Book. It's the John Wick book, but it's called the Spencer Fearon book. He's got everyone in that phone book. And it's just a joy for us.